But taking a look at everything that's transpired over the last few days, can you just give us your overall perception on how President Trump reacted to that and whether or not it was overdue in coming?
I think the president's reaction was atypical for any president I've ever seen in my lifetime. Mm-hmm. The fact that obviously after Operation Midnight Hammer, the B-2 mission and lots of other aircraft that went into Iran was fulfilled. We'll see. Time will tell whether or not it was an operational success. It was a brilliant move, and the operational security was some of the best I've ever seen. And people wonder why, hey, how come you didn't tell us ahead of time? Well, because you run your mouth and you tell everybody, and now the element of surprise is off. So they certainly were able to be successful that way. I do think our hats are off to the men and women of the branches that were involved to go in there and do that. And I think at the other point is the president's response was interesting in that he said, well, you and I were talking about this before we went on air. He said something effective, well, now that Iran got that out of their system, meaning they launched an attack right in response to the Operation Midnight Hammer, I think that was interesting. He said, well, now let's go on to a ceasefire.
You know, there are a lot of people that believe they just didn't want there to be boots on the ground type of a situation. With the technology we have and that type of a strike capability where we launch from the middle of America all the way over there and take care of that, it doesn't really negate or take away the need at some point in some measure. But do you think that Americans have tired of conflict after 20 years in Afghanistan?
Oh, absolutely. And my perspective has changed because I'm an old guy now. And there was nothing, the worst part of my job as the county veteran service officer was working with families that had lost their son or daughter serving overseas. And you look back, for what? And a lot of these, I've changed my view on the military-industrial complex. I think that's a thing. I think we have to be super cautious about getting sucked into that. But I think the response to Iran, because they've been threatening us for years, to tell them that, hey, we're gonna destroy you. And now they're going to have the capability of launching intercontinental ballistic missiles. That the technology is there. So I think that was a wise move.
You know, one thing that you were telling me that's very interesting in this is that during your time of service, from the mid-'70s, 75 to 79, you're coming out as the Iran is having the revolution and the change. And just describe for people that may not know what Iran was like before that.
Sure. Mid-1970s, you look at video footage. Girls and women going to school with Western clothes. The place looked like Santa Barbara. And then after the Islamic Revolution, it looked like some place that would be more out, that you would see like in the desert. There was no, the vegetation was gone, and people were, women were not seen as
everyone was covered and everything.
Second-class citizens, and there was just a lot of the bad stuff. I think a lot of my friends that went over there that stayed in were really disillusioned with the whole society over there. Now, I'm not saying the Shah of Iran was a good guy,
right?
Because he had some major flaws and was very oppressive. But his son now, who is the spitting image, appearance-wise, of his dad, like many of us are, is calling for the overthrow of this of the nuthouse people that are over there running the thing, and the people of Iran. I think the Persians are ready for peace.
Does the president really need to lean on the peace aspect of this from this point forward, do you think? In your
Sure, I think so. And I think the fact that we need to be very careful of what we take out of the comment that was made, not by just the president, by others, about regime change. The United States is great at doing military stuff. They're horrible at regime change. Who remembers the purple thumbprint in Iraq? Oh, we're going to vote. It's going to be just like the United States. No, it's not. Yeah. They have a completely different take on stuff, and they've been fighting each other for thousands of years.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
Dick Taylor, appreciate your insight as always. Thank you for coming in.
Okay, appreciate it. Thanks for everything you do.
All right, thank you, Dick.
All right.